What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for clicking this video. My name is Jordan Miles with Soul Liberation Company. Hey, if you are a new believer in Christ and you're looking for some guidance on this Christian walk, or if you've been a believer for some time and you got a little bit distracted and you want a sense of direction back to the path, this video is for you. So we're going to start this video off with an obvious answer for the troubles that we're all facing. Proverbs chapter 3, starting with verse 1. My son, do not forget my law, but let your heart keep my commands. For length of days and long life and peace they will add into you. Now, for the new believer, you're like, hey, what is the law? What are your commands? What are you telling me to do? All right, I get it, Lord. You're telling me that if I listen to you, I will have long days and it will add peace into my life. Now, hear me this. Peace does not necessarily mean you won't have conflict. But what that means is in the midst of your conflict, your soul will be at rest because you know who's the person that will resolve it all. The reason why you live your life for God, because you have two options in this world. You're either faced with living life for the world or living life for Christ. When you choose to follow, you also choosing your backup when you choose who to follow. God is telling you that if you follow him, you will start to have peace and it will be added unto you. For the new believer, you're like, hey, what is God telling me to do? Like, how is God going to tell me how to live my life? For the person that's been a believer for some time, you're like, okay, I've heard this in church, but what are some steps to make it plain? We're going to go to 2 Timothy, starting with chapter 2, going with verse 22. And it says, flee also from youthful lust, but pursue righteousness, faith, love, peace with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart. But avoid foolishness and ignorant disputes, knowing that they will generate strife. The state of your life today is because of the things you did yesterday. And if you want to change your life tomorrow, you got to start making better decisions today. Flee also from youthful lust, but pursue righteousness, faith, love, peace with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart. Lust is sin. So if you want to be more Christ-like, obviously, let's not lust. Okay, and for those who don't know what lust is, prying on a physical attraction of a person and you're looking at them in a sexual manner. So that will give birth to sin. We know that lust is sin, but what else does lust create in our lives? Lust gives birth to insecurities. The reason why is because when you're looking at a person on such a surface level way, you're checking out that guy, you're checking out that girl, you're going to start to develop in your brain the way that you feel people perceive you. So now if you're looking at these people in this way, on this physical level, you're going to think that people perceive you on a physical level because you have trained your brain to think a certain way about others. So you assume that others think that certain way about you. And that is not a good way to live. If you train your brain to think on righteous thoughts, bruh, you will avoid so much trouble in your life because I'm going to tell you right now, the little girl, little boy dorm room you sneaking in, that's not righteous. That's not righteous. You know what? We can even take it a step further. The person that you checking out that's walking the dog across the street, that's not righteous. That is not righteous. That occupies space in your brain that is meant for righteous thoughts. And that is not Christ-like. To even look upon a man or a woman with lust is committing adultery within your heart. That is not righteous. So it starts with the look, and the look create desires, and those desires can become distractions from the real goal at hand because God could be trying to use you in certain areas, but you're so distracted from this youthful lust that lives within your heart. He can't operate within, he can't use you. He can't use you. He does not want to put you in a position to where you will start to destroy yourself because of his blessing. He does not want the blessing to lead to your destruction. So therefore, if the lust has put these desires in you, bruh, you will be distracted. So let's continue. Proverbs chapter 3. Let not mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. And so find favor and high esteem in the sight of God and man. We will oftentimes get in conflicts. We'll get in situations with other people where we forget that we're righteous. We forget that we're pursuing to be Christ-like. The forgetful mind is the first step to the person walking in the wrong direction. All of a sudden, you forgot who you live for. You forgot that you live your life for Christ. Now, all of a sudden, you live your life to gratify yourself. By nature, we're selfish. By nature. Like, I got 2 kids right now. I never had to teach them to tell people mine. I never had to teach them to say, oh, this is mine. I never had to teach them to not share. But I had to teach them to share. I had to teach them to give. I never had to teach them to be selfish, but I had to teach them to be selfless. Coming out the womb, We're by nature, we have all of these sinful desires within us. So that's why it's so important that we keep these words of the Lord in places where we won't forget them. Once we do that, not only will we find favor with God, but then we can start to become the examples that people are looking to. We'll also find favor in men. And go to verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not onto your own understanding. I'm going to tell you guys right now, if I act and operate under my own wisdom, I am not the wisest person in the world. The only reason I have a little bit of knowledge is because I did a little bit of studying. I still have a long way to go. A long way to go, because I realized none of my knowledge is at my own merit, but it all comes to me from the grace of the Lord. We all talk about what are stresses in our lives. One of the number one stresses in the world, one of the number one directions and leads to divorce is finances. The reason why so many people are having financial issues is because they're not making good financial decisions. The decisions that they make financially do not align with the goals that they have financially. Once our priorities get mixed up with our finances, we start to see financial issues that lead us to the end goal of financial stress. So if you want to alleviate financial stress, make better financial decisions. So who do you go to when you're having financial troubles? You go to a financer, right? You go to a person that works in accounting. You go to a bank, you sit down and have a conversation with somebody, and you talk to a professional. Now, when it comes to this life, who will teach you to live the best Christ-like life? Not me. Christ. You lean on his understanding. You lean on the things in his word, in his book, because that will help direct your paths. It will help direct your path. And you have to acknowledge him. So many times we find out that we're in relationships and we're wondering, why did this relationship go sideways? It's because the foundation of the relationship wasn't built on Christ. It wasn't built on Christ. It was built on he looked good, she looked good. That's what it was built on. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is a slippery slope. That's built on sand. That's not built on bedrock. That's not a solid foundation. That's built on something that will break. That's inevitably will break. You have to start involving and acknowledging God in all of your ways. Acknowledge him in relationships, when it comes to your business decisions, when it comes to your everyday decisions in life. Going back to 2 Timothy chapter 2, let's go to verse 23. But avoid foolish and ignorant disputes, knowing that they generate strife. Why would I wrestle with, so my oldest son is 2. Why would I wrestle with the 2-year-old about how to take the trash out? He's 2. He's not going to be able to comprehend all of the proper steps in the way that a 20-year-old would comprehend it. So yes, of course I'm going to have to be more patient. What am I telling you? I'm telling you is that there are some people that are so young in their faith, that are so young in their maturity, that are so young in their wisdom, that are so young in their knowledge, that when you try to tell them things that you know that you're right on because you have done the research, they will try to argue you and dispute you. So you have to have the wisdom to not engage, to know to lead in humility, to know to lead in humbleness. Don't sit there and go back and forth over somebody just because they flipped you off on the side of the road. Bruh, they don't have, they're young in their knowledge, they're young in their wisdom, they're young in their emotions. Lead in humility. Say God bless you. You don't have to engage. A lot of times we are creating strife and troubles in our lives because we choose to engage in foolishness. And engaging in said foolishness will lead to so much more troubles than you already have. So if you're having troubles at work, you got a coworker at your job that's giving you grief and giving you stress. Of course, there's a coworker at your job giving you grief and stress. Why? Because the devil does not want you to be joyful at work. He wants to do his best to make you stressed out as much as possible. I'm not saying that your coworker is the devil, but what I'm saying is your coworker may not have the wisdom, may not have the knowledge, may not have the emotional maturity to recognize the foolishness that they're in. But you do. You have the knowledge, maturity, and the awareness to recognize the foolishness that's going on. So this could be your opportunity to do what this word says. Acknowledge him. Do what the word says. Do not engage in these foolish disputes, because they will lead to strife. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this. I'm super glad and super joyful to have you all here. Hey, look, if there's something that you like, there's something you want to see covered, there's something you want to see corrected, bruh, let me know. Leave a like, leave a comment as well. And if you have never been to this channel before, guys, please subscribe. We really want to do our best to push the gospel to each and every person, as many people as possible. And without your support, bruh, that's very difficult to do. Okay, so thank you all so much. All right. Peace.